Okay. Welcome to Ranger Reviews, web series we look at episodes of the TV show Power Rangers and then discuss them. Today we're exploring the 32nd episode of the show Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, as well as the 370th episode overall, titled Sorcerer of the Sands. We begin this episode with an outdoor training scene. Kelsey and Joel are going up on ropes, getting up to the top. Joel drops his clip, and Carter and Chad laugh at him. Kelsey repels, and Joel has to climb back down, and they're yelling at him to jump. That seems kinda unsafe. Dana is just there keeping time. Kelsey gets back to the Hummer, and she asks how she did. Dana forgot to stop the watch. Joel comes back and he claims that the rope is faulty. I love Joel just a little bit. Dana was too busy thinking about Ryan. Sis, no one cares. But Kelsey lies and says that they're all worried about him. Smash cut to Ryan's dumbass fainting in the desert and rolling down a hill. He's found by a white man in Middle Eastern garb talking to a frickin' raven. Buckle up. In the Skull Cavern, Banshira says that Olympia sucks and his star power could go back to Diabolico. Olympia says he won't fail again, so he needs to prove that he's worthy. He calls for Jinxer, who comes in asking what's up. He says he holds the key to the monster's shadow world and Olympius wants to go there. Jinxer refuses, but Olympius yells again and Jinxer hands it over. Diabolico is nearby watching this and laughing to himself. In the desert at night in a tent, Ryan wakes up with this dude with a lantern. He says that a boy out in this wasteland is either very brave or very stupid. Ryan says he's looking for the Sorcerer of the Sands, and he asks what he wants, gold or jewels. And Ryan says no, he's actually been told that only the Sorcerer can read these ancient writings, holding up a book. Just like go to a museum, dude. The man tries to take the book, but Ryan says, nope, only for the Sorcerer. Why? The man says, okay, walking away. He offers a drink to Ryan, telling him to rest. Ryan's dumbass drinks it, and then he's suddenly so tired and he lies back, passing out. The man takes the book and he shows the drawings to the Raven. Alright. Diabolico and Viper are trailing Olympius as he opens up the door to the Shadow World. He looks inside, meeting the gatekeeper who steps out. Olympius insists on entering, so he does. The door closes and Viper wants to do something immediately, but Diabolico says no, just a little bit longer. Inside the Shadow World, Olympius wants to have the Gatekeeper lure the Rangers to the Shadow World, where the spirits of dead monsters wander forever. The Gatekeeper says sure, teleporting into Mariner Bay. He immediately blows up a building, so here comes the Morph Rangers posing up a storm. The Rangers fire their V-Lancers, but the Gatekeeper disappears, but then he's just behind them, inviting them to go to the Shadow World. He fires at them, sending them back onto the sands of the world. They get up, confused as to where they are. Olympius is there welcoming them with the Gatekeeper. Olympius will make sure they never leave, and he locks the portals to Earth. The Rangers will now spend the rest of their lives there. They say no, running forward, but to no one's shock, they suck, getting hit around. Olympius says don't worry, they won't be lonely. The Gatekeeper then says some terrible rhyme, reviving a ton of monsters, some of which we've probably never seen before. The Rangers do their Spectre Blast on the monsters, and there's a giant explosion, and their corpses just fall apart, but then they're just back. They can't destroy them. The Gatekeeper explains in this world there's nothing more that they can do to them. You can't kill what's already been killed. Ryan wakes up in the morning in the tent and he's immediately starting to look for his notebook. The man comes back in offering another cup of tea, and Ryan is lucky he didn't wake up with his underwear around his ankles. Ryan says no, he needs the Sorcerer of the Sands or else he'll never be able to beat Banshira. The man freaks out, yelling at the Raven and hiding. Then a voice says, young man, don't frighten him. It's the damn Raven talking, and then it turns into, well, sweet Jesus, it's just Jafar at Mardi Gras. Ryan explains that he is the Titanium Ranger, and he says he wants to seal away Banshira. This is the Sorcerer of the Sands, and he says that then, they must be friends. Let me look at your book again. And Ryan should be like, again? The Sorcerer takes it, saying that the symbols are spells, and they need the golden key to do this. The man then shows Ryan a mirror, and he shows what the key would look like floating in the mirror. That's the same key Olympius has that he used to get the Rangers in the Shadow World. Why did he need a mirror for this? In the Shadow World, the Rangers realize that the Gatekeeper is controlling everything with his staff, so they blast it in half, and the Gatekeeper and Olympius freak out because without this, the monsters will even attack them, because the Gatekeeper was the one actually keeping them at bay beforehand. Olympius says, let's go then, and they start to run, but the monsters are chasing them. They call for the others to open the portal. Diabolico, Vipra, and Loki are watching this, and somehow Olympius opens the portal. He runs forward, and suddenly, he's hit down. Diabolico's floating figure is there, and he somehow steals the key, laughing at Olympius for sucking, and then he disappears. So Diabolico is won, show over. The Rangers get hit down, and Dana suggests retreating into a cave just so they can get away. They run in and they're confused on which way to go, but Carter just creates a cave-in to buy them some time. They're really unsure as to what to do. This Sorcerer then puts some marbles into a walk, and he waves over it, forming a triangle. This apparently means that Ryan's friends are in trouble. They then look at the mirror again, and he shows Ryan what's happening in the Shadow World. Ryan asks for help, and the Sorcerer says there may be a way. He opens a box, and a light comes out, going into the mirror. Dana then hears the Sorcerer and they believe this light that tells them to follow it because he says Ryan's trying to help them. The monsters are coming out of the cave-in and the light shows them a way to a green puddle thing. The Rangers then jump into it and they disappear, but not before some monsters join them. And then the puddle is now concrete. Okay. 3 monsters land in the city with the Rangers immediately turning giant. Can they kill these things if they're spirits? They call out the rail rescues forming the Super Train Megazord, and they're held on by the sides of the monster getting punched, and then they use their full power and blow up all 3 monsters anyways. Well, except for one apparently. They take the time to call out the Rescue Zord, forming the Lightspeed Megazord, although Carter calls it the Rescue Megazord on accident. They then form the Lightspeed Solar Zord. They absorb the firepower from the monster, blasting the crap out of him as he disappears too. In the Shadow World, the monsters are blasting Olympius, who is screaming about how he won't die here. Diabolico, Vipera, and Loci talk about how Olympius is banished now, and even with star power, he won't escape. Banshira then appears screaming about this. She asks Diabolico if he was responsible for this, for exiling her son. Diabolico says yes, and then she laughs super hard at this. She says he was a failure anyways, let him rot. Diabolico, don't fail me then. Vipera's like, she cares more about her palace than her son. Then everything starts to shake and Diabolico somehow knows immediately that someone's saying some ancient spell. It's the Sorcerer who's doing a lot of mythical gibberish at this point over the book, which is glowing. Diabolico says enough, and he starts his own spell, and the two are competing and being offensive. Diabolico then fires hard, and a blast comes through the notebook, turning the Sorcerer into literal sand. Oh, he's dead. In the mirror, Diabolico shows off his key and lets Ryan know that he totally failed. Ryan, in anger, tosses some sand, which is definitely a dude's corpse at this point, so maybe don't do that. The end. Okay, I mean, at least Ryan's doing something. Yeah, the Sorcerer of the Sand feels super offensive and tone-deaf, and I don't love it. But the story's interesting. There's a Shadow World, and straight up, Diabolico won. If they didn't have a way out for the Rangers, they'd probably be dead too. Banshira not caring about Olympius is kind of amazing. She clearly cares more about winning than she ever did about her own son, and it's satisfying to see such a good, bold villain. Just good all over. Next time, creepy man with the mustache. But until then, may the power protect you.